Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to another episode of Ferris Makes Emulators. This is episode 11 where we will be continuing on the debugger that we started last week. Um, Quick note, this will probably be a shorter stream than usual, maybe an hour or so, as the weather here is absolutely amazing, and considering I'm going to be in a different country next weekend, I kind of want to take advantage of that. So, going to cut this a little short, but there's a couple things I want to go over, so yeah, it should still be pretty fun. Um, Comment Duru2 says, by the way, in the rules you say keep backseat X to a minimum. What's that? I just mean like too much backseat coding or backseat whatever I'm doing at the time. Last stream there was actually quite a bit of that, but I was kind of fine anyway. Just in general, just try to, I guess, be respectful with that kind of thing. That's all I mean in my fact. Crazy92 says it means you shouldn't tell them what to do. Yeah, that's the more blunt way to put it. Seiksu, hello. How's it going? Cool. Yeah, so one of the things that I kind of screwed up with last week is that I didn't end up going over like pull requests and things before doing the stream. So usually I'll kind of screen these and think about them and read through them kind of off stream, and then on the stream I'll explain what they were and then accept them. And generally, sorry, lost my train of thought. This week I totally screwed up with that as well. I just haven't really had time to look at this stuff before actually streaming. But instead of actually delaying a couple of these things by another week, I thought I'd just actually go over them in detail on the stream, because that's still making progress. So I'll probably do some of that. Yeah, should be good. So I think I'll actually start with that. The first thing, I actually want to go over this second pull request. This is from Birkenfeld, and he basically mentioned that we should use Rusty Line as a line editor for the debugger. Rusty Line is a really cool crate. Let me pull this up. It basically gives you like a better sort of read line interface. So when you do things like Control C, Control D, Control A, Control E, and have things like a history, like a proper terminal, if you want to do that, you can actually use this library to get that, instead of right now what we're doing in the debugger is we're just kind of using actually just reading the line. We don't have all these additional hotkeys. So I would love to have this in the debugger. Unfortunately, first there were issues where it would only work on nightly, but that ended up getting fixed. Now it looks like there's issues where it also really doesn't work on Windows, so that's going to be a problem. But I wanted to point this out because I thought it was a really cool crate. If anyone wants to help make that work on Windows in the meantime, I'd be really happy about that, because I would love to pull this in and use this, but I would feel bad spending my streaming time on it at least. Anyway, I just thought that was cool, so I'm going to keep that around in case that all that stuff gets fixed, because I would, again, love to be able to use that for our debugger. Ashmedai, it's Ferris stream stuff in a normal time zone. Yes, one of the 2 normal time zones. The more convenient one for those of you in Europe. Okay, there were... Get rid of wildcard using. So this one was open 8 minutes ago. I'm gonna... So this is from Kryes, who is probably watching. This gets rid of some wildcard usings, merge multiple usings together, and does some more re-exporting to simplify and stabilize everything. Also, some minor style improvements are applied that are more idiomatic. Although he found some cases it looks like he wasn't too happy about. So a lot of this small code style idiomatic stuff, it's not that I disagree with a lot of these changes, I just don't see much use for them, at least at this point in the project. But I don't mind taking a pull request that has these. Like, I'm especially talking about things like these commas here. I see why the style guidelines recommend you to do that. I understand that. I just think it's a bit nitpicky. But then again, if someone opens a pull request like this, it'd be kind of silly of me not to just take it. Mainly this looks good to me, but only because I'm kind of looking at the little things. I'm not really looking at the import stuff yet. Let me read the commit message again. Get rid of some wildcard usings, merge them together. Okay. Yeah, this generally looks all right to me. So actually this case here, where we have the function and then we do this. Is this a type constraint? Is that what that's called in this language? Where you say like, you know, we make this generic over f, but we say f is this. So we have this like where clause that constrains the generics. And this is usually on the second line and then indented more. I found that Rust mode doesn't seem to handle that case correctly. Maybe a more recent version does, but that's actually why I didn't do that. So hopefully that won't be too annoying. I might actually change these ones back if my editor is a bit silly with that. But I'll accept it for now because I generally feel like it's actually a bug that Rust mode doesn't handle that stuff correctly. Some more good style stuff. This one I kind of don't like. I guess this was to keep the this part I agree with, and I guess this part was to keep the line width down. But I really don't like when things are aligned here to the paren. I would have much rather had all of these on the next line four in, because this alignment is bad news for maintenance. That's the only really bad thing, and then of course some of these were changed. But generally, there's not a lot that I disagree with here. Crysis 92, I just ran Rust format on it and kept the stuff that don't fully kill your style. Yeah, I figured. But Rust format does that. So Rust format actually does this alignment, because I find that really strange that it would do that. But I guess I'll take it if Rust format's doing it. Okay, but this looks good. This actually looks pretty good to me altogether. Except for this part here. Seems weird, as normal use didn't work. Oh yeah, like just pulling these in with use didn't work, but then actually doing type aliases for these work. Is that what you mean? Because if that's the case, I also think that's really weird. But so Travis says this is good. AppVeyor's taken a while, like usual, but I think AppVeyor will pass here because it's just some style stuff. So I think that's going to be okay. But I'm going to go ahead and accept this. I think this is all right. Bloop. I will change this though. Make that a little more descriptive, a little more accurate for what it was. Crysis says, well, I wanted to bring them into the scope with use so that submodules can use them, but apparently use doesn't bring them in for your submodules. Yes, that is correct. That is correct. That is correct. That use only brings them into the current module, and not even like nested modules in the same file. It's not lexical in that sense. But then I'm a bit actually confused why this. Then I'm a bit confused of what you were trying to do here. I think you're trying to pull these out of the submodule or out of the submodules into like this main mod RS so that all of the submodules in this module could see these. Because then I think it's actually a bit strange. Because then I didn't mind so much actually just having to pull these out of the submodules in the other submodules that use that. Is that correct? Is that what you're trying to do? Yeah, and you're saying pub use would actually make these available to the submodules, but then it would also make it available to things outside the module, I guess. Some semantics there. Because I actually, if that was the goal with this, then I actually kind of don't like it very much. Kreis is saying you usually do this re-exporting to keep your path shorter. The pub use wouldn't have been bad. I think if you fix this up with pub use, then I'll be happier with it. If you wouldn't mind doing that. I think I would prefer that. Because this seems a bit icky to me. This is a cool. Info, what is this wizardry? Twitch emulator programming. Yeah, it will be some emulator programming once we finish the pull request. Ashmedai reminds me of Python's deleted link at module level. Ashmedai, if you whisper it to me on the chat, then I can share the link. Cool. So I'm gonna let this one sit until Kreis fixes makes those pub use, and then that looks good to me. And also Kreis, excuse me. Also Kreis, if you could squash those commits, that'd be great too. I really like it when the commits are squashed. Yeah. So the next one I want to go over is this 53. Clear delay slot PC before executing delay slot instructions. So let me pull up the offending code. This one I did look at a little bit. This was, I believe, in CPRS, where we had our delay slot handling. And I have some stuff to say about the delay slot in a minute, but I want to go over with sort of our current implementation. So what he's saying is that here, if we're going to step and we had instruction in our delay slot, so basically queued up to be executed, then what we're going to do is we're going to pull that instruction out, or pull the PC of that instruction out, read the instruction, execute it, and then we're going to clear the delay slot. And what he's saying is that this execute instruction might have actually queued another delay slot instruction, so that clearing it here would actually be wrong. Now there's some details about this. So Flogeneer points out, this is by Jay Westfall, 69 by the way, and Flogeneer points out that in MIPS, if a branch delay slot would itself need a delay slot, the result is undefined behavior. This is because a branch instruction delay slot instruction must be independent, but if the delay slot is itself a branch, then both instructions are modifying PC, which is illegal. And then there's some other details about that. So then this was basically changed to instead you could I guess it was 1 second. Yeah, you could actually panic here. Yeah, like set it none here, and then panic if it was none at the end of this, just to at least break on that behavior, because that is undefined. But yeah, his fix was basically just to move this before the instruction. Now, I'm a little bit iffy on this stuff because, again, what I want to say about the delay slot is a couple of people have pointed out to me that I'm handling it very incorrectly. Some people have been quite blunt about that, especially this comment. The night was saved on Reddit. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let me bump that up. I personally think you're going about the delay slot logic wrong. There's nothing inherently special about the delay slot. It just falls out of the MIPS architecture. Reading and executing instructions happen at the same time in parallel. When you execute a branch, the next instruction, which is the delay slot, has already been read. MIPS just decides not to waste the read if the branch happens, executing the delay slot while the new instruction at the new PC is being read. So instead of doing this weird kind of delay slot where we do kind of a special case thing on the branch instructions, instead we should always just be queuing up the next instruction and planning to run it anyway. So that would be maybe one way that we want to refactor this. Now, I don't think I want to do this refactoring today, but I do want to go over this because like a couple things are popping up that I'm seeing that point to something that we've done wrong. So I want to just talk about this. Because there was another issue that was opened by a colleague of mine, actually, that says the delay slot write back happens too early. And here he found a diagram from the datasheet where it's actually showing the pipeline here and saying that yeah, basically like this is another symptom of kind of the same problem, which is that if there's like a read modify write instruction, the delay slot write back will actually happen before the next instruction has done a register fetch, before the next instruction is write back. And in short, it just means that the reading and writing that the different instructions are doing could be interleaved. Now, it did say, he does mention that somewhere in the datasheet it says for the 4300, it can actually insert delay cycles if an instruction depends on the write back. And then, yeah, it tells me to check the datasheet. So I think we're going to have to do a bit of digging on that as well. I think the next stream I do will actually be really digging into these details and trying to figure that out and refactoring this. So again, I want to continue with the debugger today so we can make a little bit of progress because it's going to be a short stream, but I really want to dig very deeply into all these problems later. So coming back to this clear delay slot PC before executing delay slot instruction, the discussion here was really good. I think that I will actually just accept this because it doesn't really hurt. Just move the execute after the clearing the delay slot. I think this is okay. Like both of our implementations are, I guess, somewhat incorrect, but this one feels a little more correct. So I appreciate the PR, and I think I'll accept this. But yeah, again, I think that all these are sort of symptoms pointing to a larger issue that we need to address. Not necessarily right away, but pretty soon. So again, I want to work on the debugger a bit more and then really dig into this. But I think the debugger will actually help us solve these problems. So yeah. Anyway, I'll go ahead and merge this. So thanks, Jay Westfall, for that. Pretty cool stuff. Christ is done. Also fix the parameter alignment formatting. Cool. Anarchy, hey, how's it going? So I'll go back to the Christ pull request here. I'll at least let this. Oh, this already did get through Travis, which is cool. Let's double check on that. About a minute ago. Looks good to me. Or actually, yeah. Looks like it's still running. Is that this? Oh yeah, that's the one I just queued up. Okay. Yeah, then I'll need this. Sound improvements. Cool. Yeah, so I'll just take this. Boom. Nice. So thanks, Cries, for that. Good stuff. And these last couple were about these last two new ones because we've gone over these before. These are from Flowgeneer, and I'll just open up both the pull request and the accompanying issue. So I think let me just read through this. The processor exception is still on fix add-I overflow error. I think he actually goes over it in 52. Oh no, there. the knowledge is kind of split up between these. But basically, he's saying that I guess when he pulled Rust.endo and he was trying to build it and play with it, and add-I actually had an overflow exception when he ran it. He said this pull request actually fixes that, and then there's some things about that. Of course, now it has conflicts, so I guess I can't merge this anyway, but I do want to talk about this a little bit. And then here he opened an issue where he kind of just elaborated a bit. But he figured out the issues he's having yesterday. He checked the SHA against mine. It matches, so we do have the same PIF. Investigating further, figured out that there was an integer overflow occurring in the add-I instruction. I don't know why your Rust didn't catch it while mine did, but the code, PIF, and ROM are exactly the same. So this, first of all, this comment here, I don't know why your Rust didn't catch it while mine did. I'm guessing that that's actually because I'm almost always running in release right now. And you might have been building in debug. So that could definitely have been why mine didn't catch the overflow issue. In any case, I was forced to implement some small amount of overflow handling in 51. That's that pull request. It might help anyone else out there who has the same issue. I'm not sure why Rust was overflowing. I think it was because it was trying to add two U64s that represent negative numbers, which is valid. Not sure if that means I64 would have been more appropriate, or I32 or whatever. Just implemented it bitwise, checking for overflow manually. Now that I think about it, my implementation breaks 64-bit mode. I don't know, thoughts. I actually think that if that let me look in this again, because my gut feeling is that we should have been using wrapped add for this, not checked add, because we do want U64 here. Checked add will fail if they overflow. We don't want that. We want to fail on sign overflow. But do we still want to fail? Yeah, with the meaning of sign being established on emulator level. But that's we want to raise an exception in the emulator. So we do want to detect this, that this would have failed. But I think let me actually look at the code. Okay, so this is actually hitting it by hand. I think that this I would have to sit through it more, but my gut feeling again is that at least for now we should just be doing wrapped add and not worry about the exception. Because again, this is handle overflow exception, but the overflow exception I was referring to here, I wanted this node around so that we could raise that overflow exception in the emulator, not raise an exception on the host, if that makes sense. Like, I wanted this to be a CPU exception, not a break our program exception, if that makes sense. So I don't think that this was kind of what I was thinking there. And in general, it really feels like wrapped add should be the right tool here. I'll check chat, see if anyone is doing this. Driven says, why are you running release? You should be running in debug. I was running in release because when we were hitting I can't remember exactly. I think it was because when we were chugging through instructions, that actually was, I don't think it was that slow. Or maybe it was early on, we had some issues with boxing values. I can't remember, but it ended up becoming a habit, and it's probably one that I should break. I did think about that today, actually, when I started testing this, that this should be running in debug. It should be okay, minus the bug that this points out. Also, we probably won't get there because we don't just have a run to whatever yet. But yeah, I think I should be running in debug. I'll continue to do that. Colin, I pretty much always run a bug. Yeah, I usually do too, but I've had a bunch of projects where, especially with the box syntax not being done, it just didn't work. Christ says performance doesn't matter at the moment anyway, so yeah, I agree. It's shouldn't be about performance. It's yeah. Driven says because debug puts things like overflow checking for you from release. Yes, I know that. Black Stealth, Stanford stream stuff. It's 12:23 a.m. here. What time is it by you? Dale Collins 14:23. Yep, that's it. Christ says, oh yeah, the box array issue. I think that's why, and I know that when I get into the habit of running Rust projects in release, that's typically why. So again, I'm not sure if that was the reason why. It's probably on a previous stream or something, but yeah. Either way, I don't think we have that issue anymore, and I think running a debug is what I should be doing. But in terms of this add-I overflow error, I think I'll leave a quick comment on this, and Flogeneer can come back to this when he's sort of taking a look at that. But I don't think I'll merge this today. First of all, because I can't, because I need to have some merge conflicts. But yeah, I generally think that wrapped add is a better solution, at least for now, while we're not actually raising the exceptions. So yeah, so I'll just leave a little comment here. Cries, in debug, it puts the array on the stack before it puts it on the heap, which overflows your stack. Yeah, that's the boxed array thing. You can call box new with an array, and you would like it for it to just be allocated on the heap, but nope. It goes on the stack first in debug. Again, box syntax is the solution for that, and some other things that I don't know the details of, but that's only available in Nightly Rust, and I don't want to use Nightly specific code. Infode, what was your first emulator project? I managed to get a Chip 8 emulator in CNSDL, but that's as far as I ever got. The first emulator I did was Chip 8. I've started a ton of emulators I didn't finish. The biggest one that I finished is probably the SNES audio unit. I've also done some Williams hardware back in the day. I started on an Atari VCS emulator at one point. Got pretty far with that. Yeah, and a few others. Virtual Boy is one that I want to do. I actually saw one at a retro shop that I might go pick up today. It's for an okay price for what it is, and if it works, then it's worth getting. So I might actually buy that today. Uh, 411A, how Kubar? Did you try stepping the emulator GDB, like say a breakpoint in your main loop? I've got no idea how Rust integration is with that. No, I haven't tried that, but the point is that we're debugging. Like the debugger we're building is not trying to debug the executable we're producing. We're trying to debug the hardware that we're emulating. So it's a bit different. I know we could add GDB hooks for that and use that as an interface, but I'd kind of rather build it ourselves for now. Dale Colin, no GDB support in the simulator. Yep. Info, feel the same way. Oh yes, it's like on opcode decoding. Hey, just gotta do more, I guess. Dan Colin, I'm talking about running the emulator executable on GDB, not remote GDB server. Dan Colin, well, the debugger code here means stepping. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Crazy said it works perfectly fine. The only thing is GDB treats it like C++. So if you want to evaluate expressions, you'll have to write in C++ text. Oh, that's kind of funny. 411 Haukubar, or Huakubar? I'm not really sure how to say that. Yes, the GDB can display information from the emulator. Dan Colin, if you add GDB support, yeah. So, yeah, again, to clarify, when we're talking about the debugger that we're working on today, we're debugging like specifics of the CPU that we're emulating. Yes, GDB could show us all that information, but it probably wouldn't be in the right kind of format that we would like unless we add specific GDB support to the emulator. So, going to stick with our homemade one now. Yeah, so I'm just going to finish writing this comment. Okay. So I think that's all I'm going to do to handle that PR for now, and slash comment. And yeah, so in general, moving forward, one of the next few streams, I really want to dig into the delay slots stuff. Really try to nail those details and also like the writebacks. But today, I think I just want to work on the debugger. But I want to keep these kind of tickets and stuff around because I don't want to lose sight of that before we get too much farther with the emulation. And again, I think the debugger will help us actually debug those issues. We can start building very specific tests and yeah, actually check for correctness that way. Christ, what's with random to do in the middle of the first sentence? And that comment I just left. Perhaps I didn't format that correctly. Oh no, I meant because I had a comment that said to do and then this, so I was referring to that to do with this expression here. Handle overflow exception is the adjective and to do is the verb. That's what that was. So not a bug, even though it looks like I actually wanted to write something else. Yeah, so now I'm going to go ahead and pull the code with a few changes. Thanks, guys, again, for those pull requests. Cool, good stuff. Gonna run it, not in release. Still looking good. So yeah, so if you guys didn't catch the last episode, we actually started on a debugger. So now when actually we run this, we get a debugger prompt instead of just having the emulator run for now, which is actually pretty cool. So we can step, we can run the last instruction, and we can quit. I think that's all we implemented. Yeah, it was. And then repeat gave us a headache, which I thought about that a little more. And I think it's actually because we put repeat in this enum, where instead we should have maybe had probably two different command types, one that could be parsed and then one that could be performed. And then mapping those to each other probably would have simplified the logic here. But we ended up with something that works, so no need to really dig into that at the moment. For now, I think it's all right logic. At least this shouldn't change for a while. We should just be adding instructions here. So it should be all right. But yeah, so when we step, we also print some information. The other things that I want to start adding here are, just off the top of my head, I can think we're going to want like a RAM dump or a memory dump is really what we want. Whether or not that comes out of RAM is sort of less relevant. And also we want to be able to just have it go until it hits something, and then if it breaks somehow, it should break into the debugger instead of just like dying with an exception or something. And I think actually that latter case might be the more useful one for us to do first, just because it should, especially in this case where we might be like hitting exceptions, as that other thing pointed out, or those kind of things. That might be a little more useful. The downside of that, though, is that we'll also want to be able to interrupt it. We'll want to be able to break execution also from the prompt to break into the debugger. So the other thing is it might actually make these commands more conditional, because what am I trying to think? Kind of just thinking out loud. Colin also says dump registers, of course. Christ says, sounds like you might potentially want catch unwind, which is some new error handling stuff in Rust that allows you to actually catch panics in the same thread. I'm not sure if that's a mechanism I want to start using, but it might be the most convenient, so we'll have to see. Oh yeah, as Christ is not sure if that makes sense. Dan Collins says Rust 1.9 we now have custom handlers for panics. Yeah, it's cool stuff. Would be fun to play with that in this context, but not sure if that's the right solution yet. Might have to play with it. Oh wow, it's already been 40 minutes. Okay, so maybe we won't make that much progress, but I'll probably stick around for till maybe 4 p.m. my time, maybe a little sooner. Just really want to get outside. But yeah, it then means we have actual states in the debugger as well, because we'll have like the running state, in which case we'll be able to interrupt it. Or actually, all we really want is what do I think? What am I thinking? I think actually, because what I'm thinking is that the debugger would have then two states, but what I actually realized is that it's not the debugger that has two states, it's the program that has two states. You either have, you are debugging or you aren't, otherwise you're just running. I think that's fine. And so then the running emulator needs a way to break into the debugger, and then we're fine. Don't have to worry about that. So a good kind of intermediate to that would just be running like the next 10 instructions, which would probably be useful. Or the next X instructions is actually, I think kind of the best thing to do for now. Flows into your hair, Ferris. Hey man, how's it going? I hope you didn't just miss a lot of the discussion that I just had about your PRs. But I did kind of boil it down to a comment on the 51, I believe the PR number was. So if you want to check that out, that's cool. We can talk about it more if you'd like as well. Yeah. Anyway, I think for now, the big things we want to hit are print registers, print like memdump, and run next X instructions. And I think the run X instructions is going to be the one that we want to do first, because I just think it'd be the most useful when actually stepping through a lot of stuff. So let's go ahead and do that. Christ says, I don't know if that makes sense either. Running in debug mode with breakpoints is usually different and slower than normal execution. Yeah, that's true. So maybe there is that third case. We can worry about that after we. So I think we can focus on like just dumping stuff for now, and then we'll work on that. But I do think you're right. Need to think more about that design. Fosneers totally did. Yeah, I can talk about it over in the PR. Over the PR comments. Cool. That makes things a bit easier. Yeah. So what we want to do here. Here is my really simple parser that just actually check the strings. But I think what we want to do is we want to have the word step, and then we want to like have space in this a separate command. Now I'm pretty sure I know that there were other solutions, things like clap, for actually parsing command line arguments. It seems like something like that would also be appropriate for this, but I don't know if they just take regular strings. I don't know if you guys know of any just like nice parsing things we could use here. I mean, I could always pull in nom and like actually build a grammar for it. I'm just wondering if there's something that might be a little more appropriate for this kind of small use case, just because I don't. It would feel weird to pull in nom just for this. Crisis time for the nom crate, of course. Dan Collins says, also when doing single step, it's likely a good idea to be in trace mode. That is usually how it works with real CPUs, that you have a trace exception that calls back to the debugger after executing an instruction. Interesting. But what would the advantage of such a trace mode be in this case? Because we already have it so that like when you hit step, it'll do like one logical instruction. I guess the trace mode kind of makes it so that we don't need that mechanism, but I don't see much more of an advantage there. Ferris says there's regex maybe. There's also chomp. I haven't heard of chomp. Let's see what that is. Fast monadic style parser combinator library. So does this, because one of the things that, I'll start this actually looks cool. The first thing that I actually don't like about nom is that because it's macro based, it's actually pretty annoying to write the parsers, I think, because like if you mess up with syntax, you get a bunch of macro errors instead of errors in how this fit together. And I guess you could say that you get the same thing if you do like a syntax error when doing one of these parser combinators, but it felt a bit hard to use. And Colin, it's of course easier in emulator. We can just step from the debugger. Yes, I just meant that you need to have some state in the debugger. That's true. Daniel Collins says there's a parsec crate. Hadn't used it himself. Or are you just saying because I said parsec? Or is that just saying like is that what this chomp thing is? Because that's what it looks like to me. It looks like it's a kind of a parsec equivalent. For those of you who don't know, parsec is a parser combinator library in Haskell that's kind of a seminal work in the parser combinator space. A really, really nice parser. Near the trace mode essentially to have the CPU control the debugger rather than the debugger controlling the CPU. Yeah, again, I'm not really seeing how that might be advantageous in our case. I might be missing something. Chomp is a fast monadic style parser combinator library designed to work on stable Rust. So I already like this sentence. Talks about performance, which is not going to be our primary concern. Let's check out the example. The syntax is pretty cute. Yeah, this actually looks pretty appealing to me. Black Stealth, is there a command for the debugger to just run and not keep pressing enter to step? No, like right now I just want to do run X instructions. Run until we like press enter or something is going to be something else that I also want to do, but not yet. Yeah, Colin says, no, ignore that about the tracing. I just mean the debugger needs to have some state. Like running and tracing and say, oh yeah, okay, you're just saying that, okay, it needs to be in more states than just debugging or not. Yeah, yeah, that's probably true. That's probably true. Closing here. Oh, okay, I think about something different. Sorry, Daniel. No problem. Yeah, running, tracing, paused. Those are different states it'll probably have to have. And then there's going to be different kinds of legal commands depending on which state we're in as well. So actually doing a more proper parser with something like nom or chomp, which looks quite nice to me, would seem pretty appropriate. Yeah, sorry about the links, Daniel Collin. Waiting for the tweet. Oh, it's called combine. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, someone tweeted at me about that today, seeing if because I mentioned I tweeted the other day how I just love parser combinator libraries, and someone asked me if I was using combine. I hadn't heard about it. Yeah, same thing. Implementation of parser combination REST decided by Haskell library parsec. So I'm looking for an example here. I guess there's this. I can do many letters, for example. Test and benches. I mean, my gut feeling is that most of these are going to be all like sufficient. It just kind of matters which one I would like to use most, in a sense. Was near Black Cells. You can easily add it yourself if you want to hack on things. Yeah, I don't mind that, except if depending on how big the change gets, I would prefer to have it on the stream versus in a pull request. And I have a feeling that one will introduce states into the debugger, so maybe that one's not too appropriate. I still say I'm too tired working on his own project. Totally. Theo Collins is this one. Haven't tried it myself either. DC or it's using tuples for this? I'm just having a bunch of overloads for or? Or is that a interesting? I kind of like the syntax better than Chomp already. But so Chomp tries to use this kind of thing that's sort of equivalent to like do notation in Haskell, where like the take while one thing gets assigned to first in this example. And what actually happens is that this can actually like fail, in which case you actually want this whole parse result to fail. But you just kind of only have to write the happy case, the happy path, where this actually worked and then you get the value bound to it. That's kind of just saying like at any point the computation here can fail, or like your parser can fail. But we just really want to, only worry about this. So that's what's happening here with the lets. Then this will also be accepted. Then this, we can bind these to values. So like the let abstraction here is basically monadic bind in Haskell. So is this. This is monadic then, I think it's called. And then here ret is monadic return. So this feels familiar to me, but it's kind of strange to me to introduce this kind of syntax here. But I don't know if this is much better. Because it looks like here, in order to not do that, he's using this map here, where if you, like you give this tuple here, and then he can, okay, yeah, so it's mapping the tuple there. Tuple of parsers, and then here, parse unwrap. Yeah, this seems a bit strange to me as well. Flows near says, I'm not talking about PR, I'm just talking about the experimenting on fork. There's lots of stuff I've added that isn't right for PR. Yeah, that's cool. Always encourage that. Black Cells is asking for a link. Is that a link to Flogeniere's fork, or is it to the library I'm looking at? I'll get another test here. INI parser. I'll get Chomp again. also not sure what this I here is in all these parse examples. U8 result? Oh, it's yeah, result for U8's here. Probably defined here actually. Or not? Ferris says the I is the state you're working on, the input. Oh yeah, of course, that's here. That makes sense. Parse with this input and this parser. Even though I didn't necessarily like introducing this kind of monadic syntax, it does, I think it reads a bit cleaner than combine. And then there's nom, of course, which I should also be comparing. And nom, unlike the others, is one that I actually used with some success. I did a project called Butterball. I think I've mentioned this before. It was I found a bunch of my old Blitz basic code, and this is a compiler for it to get it to run. Little compiler interpreter, and the parser was done in with nom, and it was actually pretty okay. It also had its own syntax, but also because it was macros, the syntax could be a little more straightforward, even though the debugging the syntax could be pretty annoying. Also, my editor did crazy stuff with indentation with it, but that wasn't too bad. Also, I had to use type aliases for stuff in boxes. I remember that. It was kind of weird, but also wasn't that bad. And the parser you get is hard to say that it's guaranteed to be faster, but theoretically it could be. Not that that should be much of a thing here, but if Node, my chip 8 emulator I mentioned before, no one has actually seen except me. Do you mind if I post a Bitbucket link for people to check out? Yeah, I'll share the Bitbucket link. Just whisper the link to me. That's pretty cool. Christ says I like Chomp the most from what I'm seeing here. Why do you say that? What is it about Chomp that you like more? Because I'm just kind of in the air about this. I also want to see the documentation. That one's going to be pretty important. This is looking pretty good documentation-wise. I'll check the others as well. And then I remember Nom's stuff. Cries, I don't know, it just seems simple and clean. That's fair. Thorn Rhizome says Blitz is how I learned programming. Yeah, me too for a long time actually. I used Blitz 2 or 3 years back in the day. Like really heavily. Check out Info's emulator here. Boom. I like looking at emulators. First, I don't think I have a bit bucket, so I don't know if I can like star this or anything, or if there's even a bit bucket equivalent for that. But it looks pretty cool, actually. Nice. Good work there. I'll have to check that out later. Looks pretty cool. Infode. Did I say that wrong? Infode. Probably messing up the name, but because I think the thing that I said that I didn't like about nom is that because it was macro based, it could be pretty annoying sometimes when you had errors. And I think Chomp is going to have the same kind of problem. But it looks a lot more straightforward to use. At least it's more familiar to me than Combine. So I think Combine's out. I think it's between nom and Chomp for me at this point. And in that sense, nom is an advantage because I've used it before. Both are macro based, so you can't really use that as a comparison. And Chomp has a more sort of Haskell-y look to it. Then again, I think more people are also familiar with nom than Chomp. Maybe that matters. I think what I do. Daniel Collins says regex is also an alternative. Yeah, Christ said that. But I am so bad at doing regex. It's always something that I just have to look up all the details of every time. And because regex is fine if you're doing very simple stuff. I find regex pretty painful as soon as you get to like, I don't know, if we ever run into like a nested command, that could be pretty nasty. Now Colin says nom is by far the most popular. That's kind of what I'm thinking. I'm thinking I might go with nom here. Yeah, executive decision time. Going with nom. Might be good education-wise to show on stream. Yeah, that could be. I think nom is the right choice here. Oops, did not mean to do that. Meant to go to nom. Yeah, nom's quite all right. So let's go ahead and pull that in. Whoops. Daniel Collin, regex is a write-only language like Perl. Yeah. Fosnier says having taken a proper course about regex and state machines is a lot easier to understand. Yeah, and I mean I've written a regex parser and like a regex engine and built all that stuff. I've done because I was writing a tokenizer generator library for F# at one point, and even after I've gone through that and I understand a lot of those things, it's still the syntax is poor, and I just find it not very fun to use. But yeah, I think nom's the choice here. Rexham, how's it going? Thanks for the Twitter action. Okay, let's nom it up. I don't know if 1.2.3 is actually the proper version. That looks like an example version. Okay, it was correct. Good. Yeah. Good. And the irony of all this too is that Nom actually has regex. It can support generating parsers from regex. I actually didn't get it to work last time I tried it though. I can't remember why, but not that important. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to drop into the debugger again, and in command we had the parser here. We just did from str. I think that's okay to still use that same interface, but now we're going to call out to a nom-generated parser instead of parsing it ourselves in this from string function. Cries92 you didn't pull yet? From the different pull requests? I'm pretty sure I did. Pretty sure I did pull. Yeah, we're up to date. Is that not what you were talking about? Okay. So I'm going to look at my old code to kind of remember just how to use this really quick. Just don't quite remember. Oh, by the way, music I'm listening to. I like to share that. I'm listening to this awesome album by Camo and Crooked. It came out a couple years ago, but I just kind of rediscovered it. It's called Zeitgeist. Boom, it's super good. If you guys are interested in what I'm listening to, it's that. A couple songs on the album I recommend. I think it's Ruhepuls. There's probably an Austrian pronunciation that makes more sense with that. It's probably my favorite. But generally it's all quite good. So, Rexham, gotta go. Just came to say hi. Hope to watch the recording later. Bye and have a great time. Yeah, thanks for joining us, Rexham. Info. Oh, cool. You used to listen to that. Yeah, it's really good. Really good. Been on a kind of a drum and bass binge. Working on a drum and bass song actually that I hope to release at Solskjaer. If not, Tersock. Yeah. Oops. So we're going to pull in iResult from nom, because the thing about nom, if I remember correctly, when you generate these parsers, use this these different macros. As you can see, the one I use here in my old parser. Let me bump up the font size here a bit. Again, this was code from that compiler I wrote. And it's not the best example of nom. It's not the best example of a parser for a compiler either, especially. But it did work. It was able to do it fairly quickly, and it'll show us enough of what we need to know. So in this case, this named macro gives us a named parser that takes this name and will basically return an iResult, which is some kind of result from nom that in the happy path will give us this kind of object, or otherwise will give us the kind of error that nom will generate. And so that basically names and types your parser, this first line. And then this other line, in this case, this was chained, so that was just one of the combinators. Again, it's kind of this monadic form, which I can get to later. But the point is, we'll start here. So we can, for example, we'll go down here. I can do named, and we can do command, because we're going to be parsing a command. And then this will give us a command back. So that's fairly easy to do. Again, we have this indentation here, but we'll go with this a little more consistent with what the other stuff we're doing. Info, do you produce music too? Yes, if you look up Ferris on, or I think my SoundCloud is Ferris, but I'm also on Spotify and stuff. Yeah, SoundCloud/Ferris. You'll find my stuff, a lot of my stuff there. If you look at all my demo scene stuff, I usually do the music for that. Like, Stealth, not to bother you, but could you post my project link? I want to hear people's opinions of Rust code. Yeah, I don't mind sharing the link. If you whisper it to me, we can do that. Don't mind sharing the link, especially if it's other emulator projects. Would love to support that. Also, if you guys are other emulator streamers or that kind of thing, also don't mind promoting you guys a little bit. Not a problem for me. Yeah, so we're making a command parser. They'll give us the commands. And really, we just want a couple different commands. I think, how do I break this down? I think we can just break this down like this. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove this usize parameter here because I want to just rebuild this implementation with nom. What I like to do with parser combinator libraries is I like to make the different pieces that you're combining as sort of atomic as possible, if that makes sense. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have like a step, and that will give us a command. And this will parse the step command specifically. And right now, all it's going to do is just, we want it to just parse like the string step. And so I believe it was tag that you used that for in here. So we're going to have tag, the step. And when you do that, what it will actually return is, I believe, a parser that doesn't give us a command back, but gives us these actual characters. I think it gives us an str. Again, I don't remember how we decided to say that, like verbally. Daniel, calling the music and Smash It is awesome, by the way. Thanks. I didn't actually do that. That was Citrix. I did the music in the other one. I did the music in... he's talking about one of my SNES demos. I did the music in New. I did not do the music in Smash It. That was all Citrix. I did do the tracker, though. Yeah, string slice. That's what we decided to say. Yeah, string slice. I believe it gives you a string slice parser. I don't exactly remember. So I always use this chain macro, but I believe that there was a map. I think this map result is actually what we want to be doing, if I remember correctly. Black Stealth link is here. Katana looks pretty cool. Is a Dreamcast emulator even written in Rust. Cool. I'll definitely be checking that out later. Because in this case, we don't actually care about mapping the result because we don't care about the result that was there. So even then, like mapping is kind of not what we want to express. We actually want to express sort of then, if you think of it in a Haskell way, if you're familiar with that. In that case, I kind of actually like to use tag, even though a chain, even though it is meant for sort of heavier use cases. It's just kind of a pattern that I like. So in that case, the way you write that is like this. So chain, we'll just chain a tag, and I actually think that's all we need in this case. And so what you'll do is you'll chain it. Chain is meant to be basically chaining a bunch of parsers together. In this case, we're only going to need this one for step, and then after we get that, we can just have this closure here that will actually return the thing we want to return. So in this case, we're just going to return command.step. So all this is saying is just chain this parser with nothing else, and then do this. Again, the alternative would be to use like map result, where we could do, instead of chain here, we'll do map res, I believe. And I think we can do this. So I think that's the form anyway. So maybe that's more appropriate. But that's at least two ways to do that same thing, I believe. I'm still sitting 17, 18 hours now. Yeah, that's enough hours to be awake. Commenting on the noms says here. No, I'm eating data byte by byte. Byte by byte. What I like about parser combinators is they work for characters, bytes, anything. It's just a really nice general pattern. What's even cooler is pickler combinators, which actually go both ways. So you get a serializer and deserializer just by describing the structure of the data, which is quite nice. Yeah. So I think this is the correct way to write this. I actually think I'll go with that for this for now. We'll use chain later though, because we'll have to parse the argument for step, which will be optional. So that's the other thing. I think that's okay. So then currently, if we just type step here, I believe that's all we need to do. That's just a parser that already gives us the right format. Yeah, I think that's okay. So then this should be a parser that will parse a command, and currently it only supports step. But then we can start working on the other ones. So we can do exit. And this is going to follow like the same pattern. Right, and then we're going to have repeat. It's going to be basically the same. The other thing that we need to do is that we need to do the shorthands. And we also need to make sure that all these variants are checked. So I'll do that first actually. I can't remember how to do or here. Alt. It's alt. So this is saying parse any one of these alternates. So we'll do step or, so you can write here, step or exits or repeats. Nice. And that should be about it. So what's really cool is that we've basically already done most of the work here to make this same parser. Now it was of course a bit nicer here, but that was just because this only worked for a special case where we only had string slices. The other thing too is that I need to actually do the different alternates here. Okay, oops, that should be a Q. And then we'll add S for step as well. And we'll give R for repeat. Oh no, repeat was actually the last one. So repeat is actually the empty string. So I'm not actually sure how to handle that. We might have to handle that just like this. Unless nom ends up having a parser that actually represents parsing nothing, which would be a little bit strange, but could make sense. Sorry, that text became very unreadable. Is that Pastor Ailman? I think is what that says. Looks like I'm a bit late, but I'm pleased to see, finally be able to see the live stream. Crisis complete. I'm not sure if that's what we're looking for. This alt complete. I don't think that's what we're looking for actually. Rather than returning incomplete on parcel input, alt complete will try to do the next alternative in the chain. You could, yeah. If you know you will not receive parcel input for the rules you're trying to match, is almost always the case for programming languages. Yeah, that's not exactly what we want. So if we had like an alt with the default case, then that might be correct. But I don't think that's what we're doing, and I don't think that this has that. Because the other thing that we could do is if there's a parser generator that actually consumes no input and it always returns a valid value, that's also kind of what we want. That would also be correct. And I wouldn't be surprised terribly surprised if this actually had that. It's basically return in this monad. Value? If no child parser is provided, always return the value. So actually, that might be it. Which makes our repeat command pretty simple. Engineer, good night. See you later. Black Stealth's heading out. Thanks for joining us. Hopefully this will be uploaded by the time you wake up. It should be. I had some issues uploading it last time, but was able to resolve those, so it should be quicker this time. Yeah, I think value is good enough for what we were looking for. So then this should actually work because alt does support precedents like this. So as long as it repeats the last one, it should be okay. Should be okay. The only downside is that this also works if you don't have an empty string. So maybe there's actually like an EOF thing or something. Not entirely sure what that will look like. But I think we'll be all right with this. Oh, Flushing, saying no. I'm saying that to Black Stealth. That's funny. Horror 123. How's it going? I think this is our parser here, and this will be very easy to extend. Like I could simplify these or inline them here, but it makes it very easy to manage when you just keep them separate like this. So I quite like that. So then here, let's just go ahead and comment this out while we build a new one. I think we're gonna import a couple more things from nom if I remember correctly. Or actually, we don't because we actually have everything we need with iResults. So we'll go ahead and fix that. We'll need some more stuff later, I think. But Horror 123 going great. You? I'm not too bad. Not too bad myself. Ooh, Cry's actually just found that nom actually does have EOF, which is cool. Recognizes empty input buffers. Fantastic. That's actually what we want. That's even better than value, just because it will, it's like guaranteed to take the empty case. What are these green lines here? Nothing. Doesn't really tell me anything. So the type here is a bit hard for me to read, but oops, that is not the window I wanted to resize. Boom. I'm pretty sure I can just call this function here. Pretty sure I can just do. Well, so I would need to actually map the result of EOF with this, right? Map res EOF, and then we need EOF here. That's probably okay. It kind of sucks though because we don't need value here. It'd just be command repeats. And actually, it's a closure that takes an argument. Maybe that's not correct. Function takes one parameter. Oh yeah, we need to call EOF on the parser itself. So meh. Yeah, that's not what we want to do. Flows near, can't wait to persist. Want to start messing around with num's command capabilities. Yeah, num's quite cool. Flows near, green lines in the editor telling you where errors that are happening elsewhere are originating because macro expansions are weird. Okay. Kreisel says it also doesn't it also make sense to put at the end of the command parser? Yeah, to make sure. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Is I think I'll actually use value here still. And then we'll have EOF here. And let me look at something. How was I using like alpha here? Was I just right? So actually, you don't call the EOF function. You just use it as one of your parsers. That makes sense. So here, because we want to do any of these things and then EOF is actually going to be a correct command. So it's actually here that we want to do this, I think. And I can't remember. I don't think it's just chain that you use. Or actually, chain would be appropriate here. So for example, we can do chain, and then we say, I can't remember what the syntax was for taking the thing from chain. Yeah, it's this. Take the command C from this, and then here, oops, we're actually done with the chaining. And then here we can return C. But maybe, yeah, actually we need EOF here. So this should be correct here. But was there just a better combinator if we only are going to put two together? Because like there's preceded, and we want the opposite of preceded. Not delimited. Chain should be fine, but just seeing if there's a better one. Pastor Ailman saying use nom earlier this week to parse Linux logs, even with the debug dump output. The errors give me a headache. Yeah, the editors are a bit rough, but the errors are a bit rough when using macro-based libraries like this. It's a bit unfortunate, but should be all right. I think we'll just stick with chain here, and if we find a slightly better one, we'll pull it in. Unless preceded gives us a hint, but I don't think it does. Because preceded is usually give something that precedes the thing that will give you the value you want. We want exactly the opposite. But again, I think we'll be okay here. So I'm actually just going to try to build this, see if we get a better error than we're getting from this here. And yeah, so this was the issue I had with map res. Is that I think I'm just using it wrong, and I think I have the wrong types. Yeah, because the function has to return a result. That's the function returning a result on the output of a parser. And we're not returning a result here. We're just returning a single value. So I think actually map res here is not correct. We could just use chain again. Which again is not the best, but we I think this will be alright though. Yeah. Doesn't look very different when we just change this to chain anyway. And I think that gets us almost there. Now we have not all control, but yeah, so now this isn't implemented. But I think our parsers are correct. That should be nice. Oh, Crisis says you could just use map. Nah. Princess One can even say the rest are a bit rusty. Ah. Yeah, but map works. Yeah, map is actually what we want here, I think. A little bit cleaner if we only need that one value. Main map. I mean, again, we're also kind of not mapping it because we're just ignoring the value. But I think it's all right. So here, now I can't remember how I look up my usage from previously. Yeah, so here I just had units for errors. I might actually just do. Yeah, I could do a string. I could do format there. I'll just do pretty much what I did here. So we can match commands. And I think it just works to do this. I can't remember if that'll give us U or if we need to use U8s or not. So we'll see if it yells at me. If we get iResult.done, I can't remember what this underscore was. I think it was like the remaining stuff, which we shouldn't actually have. We use EOF, so this should be okay. And then we'll get our command back from that. Let's call that C here. Then we can do OK of C. Otherwise, we get an error, and we can do error where we format that. Or let's just do this. Not too bad. So now, yeah, it gives me an error here because we need NU8. We can just get that from a string slice, can't we? As bytes or something. Dash. Yeah, as bytes will just give us exactly that. And then, what is it telling us here? Cool, got new docs. Command cannot be formatted using this. Why does command need to be formatted? The error. Might just be because the error type is what's that word? Parameterized by the command type. So it could be that. Hellburner, gotta go. Thanks for joining us. Yeah, required because of the required because of the requirements on impl of SV format debug for nom iResults. Yeah, because that needs to be okay. That's fine. We can just derive debug on command. That doesn't hurt. So I think that builds. Fancy. It does. So now we can test this. And so if we do, pull this over here. If we do step, I got some invalid input. Step? Okay, so full step works, but just the S didn't. And I have a feeling I know why. Like Q should also fail. The previous one also fails. I'm a bit surprised about that. Quit should work. Okay, so let's actually look at why this might be the case. So first of all, I think the reason why like it works for step but doesn't work for S is because this will still consume all this input. So like it will consume the S here, decide that this fails, and it won't backtrack before it then tries the S. So we actually need to do try here, and that will allow us to backtrack. And we only actually need to do it for like the longer versions, but I'm going to do it for the shorter versions as well. And the reason why is because if we ever, well, I was thinking that if we ever have command with the same prefixes, we might want to also backtrack on these. I don't think we'll ever actually end up with that, so maybe I'll just remove this because we'll probably change the prefix. Anyway, adding try here should work. That should at least fix the shorthand versions. Expected token I or token. Did I forget a paren? Or where was this? Snowman 95. Yeah, this is I believe you mean stable rust, and it is. Info, it says wouldn't like rearranging the tags also work? Yes. I do actually think that will work because it will just accept the first one. But I would still kind of prefer to use this one. So actually, that wouldn't work for this. I think that actually breaks the step case now that I think about it, because it just hits S and then EOF up here fails. So I think this is the correct way to do it, because we end up with a parser that will backtrack if it has to for its own input, but then always consume either one. So I think that's the correct thing to do. But what did I mess up? Let me just undo this and add those back and see. I think I just like added a paren somewhere or something. Oops. Oops. No, so that still didn't like that very much. Seems a bit strange. Maybe I'm using try wrong. I could have sworn that this is what that was for. I know I'm just using my own code as documentation. That might be crap, but maybe it wasn't try. I could have sworn there was one of those to do backtracking. Might have been what complete was for. I think it was actually. Oh yeah, Craig is saying, yeah, the try is the early return. I forgot about that. So it seems wrong, yeah. I think complete is actually what we're after, if I remember correctly. And then in this case, alt complete is a combination of both. So let's, yeah, it replaces an incomplete return by the child parser with an error. And that makes it actually fail instead of be incomplete. I actually do think that that's what we want. And if alt complete gives us that, then that's totally the right tool to use. So let's give that a shot. should be good to go here. Go ahead and run it. So if we do step, that works. Step works. Again, our repeat doesn't work. E should work for exit, for example. Okay, so that solved this problem. Pretty nice. Also, I don't think that alt complete always existed. I think that must be new. So you can see this is exactly the same pattern in my old compiler code. Probably have to update that. So this is, yeah, so now we'll make sure that these are all complete. Use those alternates. But our repeat doesn't seem to work. Bit confused about that. Jura, good to see you. Pastor Aylwin, what about try parse? Did this have that? Try parse? Yeah, try parse is the try that I was thinking of for sure. But alt complete is I think that's still the right tool for what we're using, for what we were the best tool for our specific case. So why doesn't repeat work? Seems a bit strange. We should parse no input and then hit EOF, which should be okay here. Should be fine. Let me look into this a little more. Look into value again. Oops, already had that open. I should just always return the value. Yeah, it looks like we're using it correctly as per this example. Oh no, yeah, try parse actually also does early return. So it actually wasn't what we were after. We can just search this. I mean, the other thing we can do is just parse results for like literally no input, and then we don't actually need the parser for it, or sorry, parse repeat for that. But it just seems a little weird to do it that way. But you could argue it's also a bit weird that we're using repeat like this as well. Maybe I'll actually do that. At least that's a way that we definitely know how to do it. So I'll do this. Empty string, it's going to be okay. Repeat. Anything else? Let's bind it to string again. Just don't need to rebind. And so that should do it. looks like that's correct. Step exit E S quit. Yeah. So it looks like we're back to working order. Crisis alt complete again. I don't think that that's what we need still for just parsing the empty case. Because these wouldn't have consumed any more input before they would have failed. Unless they failed because it was EOF, but I don't think that's the case. Or actually, you know what? It probably was actually because they couldn't consume any inputs. So they probably went to do complete. I'm actually going to try this. But curious to see if that works. We're left with just this, which is a bit nicer. And then all of our commands are like this. So just copy this. Just to see if this works. Just need yeah, that actually works. I like that better actually because a little more consistent. Okay, I'm gonna commit this as is. Before I move on. Flows in here. Still can't get used to Rust macro syntax. It sounds in my head like the function names are chatting. Yeah, I also read it like that. I think it's kind of funny. All right, so let's try and refactor step to give us that give us what we were after. So here I'm going to change this back to chain. And the reason why is because first of all, we're always going to have this first part, and then we're going to have an optional value, and then we're just going to map that optional value to if it's none, we're just going to assume that that was one instruction. Otherwise, we actually use the number it gives us. It's going to be unsigned, which is going to be helpful. And I think I don't know if this can actually parse a use size. So I remember it had a bunch of these functions here. But these like big endian, little endian stuff, that's for like parsing the byte representations, not for parsing from characters, which is actually what we're after. So I think the way we have to do this is we have to build the usize parser ourselves by using digit. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a new parser here. Just call it usize. Forgot that prime's not valid for identifiers in this language. We just call it usize parser. Or parse usize. No, I like usize parser. This will give us the usize back. And yeah. Ferris92 says, it wouldn't make sense to parse a usize. That is actually a good point now that I think about it, because it's going to be different for the different platforms. That's a bit funny, actually. I think what we actually do then, yeah, I'll wait to add this parameter. We can parse just like a U32, something that we know will probably work. I think that's a good way to do it. I still don't think that this actually has the stuff to parse that, but we should be fine. Crisis, I guess if you parse ASCII, it still does, but not if you parse about byte-wise number. Yeah, it still would, wouldn't it? Because it's still going to be the same, and then just like the putting it into the bitwise value, like the range is going to be a little different, but yeah, we're going to have to parse it usize. Or we're going to have to parse it character-wise. I think we'll actually be okay doing this. So I had integer literal in my parser before, in my compiler. And this did a couple things that were a little out of the scope of what we're doing here. But what's nice is the implementation was good. It was actually quite clean. So we're basically just going to copy that. Take the digits from UTF-8, and then we can do from stir. And that is the whole usize parser. So I had some musings that'll come with that. We already have from stir. And we can refactor this with that. And then here we also need digit. And then I think we're mostly good, except here we're going to do an optional usize. And we're going to bind this to a number. Let's call it n. And so, is that not correct? Oh yeah, it's just a warning for unused variable. That should be okay, and I think this is going to be okay too when we actually use this. We'll see. So what we want to do here is actually parameterize the steps. So we're going to go ahead and add that now. And we can just do it here. So we'll do n dot, was it unwrap or for options? Pretty sure it was unwrap or for an option. Returns the contained value or default. That's exactly what we want. So we want to do unwrap or 1. So then if n was actually a number and not just an optional, then we'll use that. Otherwise, we'll use the default 1, and that's the parameter we would give to step. I'll run this, and it will break because now step does not. Step has that value. So here, let's call that count actually. I'll rename that here too. Be consistent. Yeah, now we're still getting unused variable. So let's go ahead and just pass count in here. Nice and easy. And then we can just do for blank in 0 count. And do everything in here like this. Or we can have this looping be here. And I think I'll keep it like this, because this step to me means the whole command, which includes the count. So I think this is okay. And so now if we do step, we should just run a few. If we do step 100, invalid input. And I know why, because we need to have white space between step and the number. So we're going to go ahead and add that. Christ is a single digit. Yeah, I think I did just write digit there, didn't I? My other one, did I do that, or did I? Because I wanted many, basically. Or does digit give you many digits? I can't remember. Recognizes numerical characters. But does it just take one? I can't remember. We'll see what happens. First I'll add the white space, and then we'll double check on that. So I think it's just called spaces. Or space. That's is space. Here's multi-space. We don't quite want that. Space. Recognize tabs and spaces. Oh, that'll do. So here we're going to do the step, and then we're going to do some space. That's it. Bit strange that this complained, actually. Yeah, unresolved namespace. That's fine. That's going to be here. Pull that in. Should be good. This is a bit strange. The error it's giving us now. Oh yeah, it's the wrong naming conventions. Okay, that's easy to fix then. All right, so we'll do S, we'll do step. Okay, so none of these are working now. Oh yeah, because we wanted to make this whole thing here optional. So actually the way we do this, we do opt preceded, and I believe we put the space here. Because this whole, it makes this whole clause optional, right? That's the difference. So now we do S, that works. We do step, that works. We do step space, that should not have worked. Step 100 did work actually. Oh yeah, because we made that optional, and then there's this unwrap or. So it's a bit strange actually that still let our usize parser fail, but I guess digit was 0 or more. This is actually kind of cool though. Seems a bit weird that it's doing the same. Okay, then we have a panic. Actually couldn't inspect an address. So that's actually cool. But I think digit is giving us 0 or more digits, and that's not what we want. Because that should have failed if I just did the space and the no number. Not entirely sure how to fix that. Drew says, I think step space is okay. Yeah, it might be. Just felt a little icky. The other thing I want to do really quick is that now we actually have a proper error here. Let's go ahead and actually write that out. Or what? Oh yeah, because we did str here. But doesn't that work? Should. Now our things here are not compatible. Why is this? Oh yeah, one of them just gave us a reference to the string there. There's this str. And that makes sense because if that's going to be producing a value, we need to have a string there. Oh yeah, and then we moved moved the string out of here. We can do ref here though. That makes sense. Cool. Crisis time for cow. Daniel Collins says moo. Oh, moo. Yeah, okay. Nice. I guess I know my next PR. Yeah, use the PR to teach me how to use cow. That'll work. In any case, it is probably fine that we can just do like step and then lots of spaces. Also, tabs work. Right, but then if it just ends in space, it just feels kind of gross that we didn't call that an error. Also, let's see what the actual printing error looks like. Hi. That's too bad. In fact, I actually might, instead of having invalid input here, I might just give this string. That was. I don't think that actually works. I can't remember what our error type here. Oh, it was string. Probably be the cow thing. You know, I'm just gonna look that up. I'm just gonna. Clone my smart pointer. So I guess the application here is that our error type would actually be copy and write from string, but is there like a specialization where you can use this for the different kinds of string types? Might have to fill me in on that one. Engineer going to submit a PR soon to improve printing again. Nice. That'd be appreciated. Pastor Ammon sends me a link about cow. It's probably going to show the exact same code that Cry said as well. From str to cow. Also, it's just hit 16, so I think I'm going to fix this and then call it quits for today. Skimming this. Oh, that's why, because that's why you don't need to type the rest, because into takes care of that, doesn't it? And that, okay. That makes sense. Type B, tone size. Sure, not about my lifetime. Hey, that's cool. And it'll be inferred even, so that's quite cool. So yeah, so we should just be able to do borrowed, or was it the capital B? Yeah, because we're making the actual borrowed case here. And then here, we still need that, don't we? I don't think we do actually. Maybe we do though. And then cow was where is cow? collections borrow. Yeah, should be good here. Is there more to that I'm missing, or is that it? Oh, it's in the collections crate, so we have to pull that in. Skea, how's it going? You just caught me as I'm leaving soon. Sorry about that. Oh, STD borrow. Where did oh yeah. Right. Okay. Right. And now, because I just returned the error previously, I think we want to use cow here as well. Right. I'll get static stir. Is that a reference? No, because that should be fine. And I think this just all works out. Except we need to do that here as well. Moo. It's not like in format here. Probably because we have to do owned. Is that what we're doing? Yeah, and then we have the ref thing again later. Or moo. Let's get static stairs. Also, there's into for cow. That seems better. Yeah, it might be easier in all cases. Yeah, that's. I want to do that. I'll play that game. Do I just do dot into then? Does that work? What's the problem here? Can you not do that with literals? Or close the limiter. Yep. And then back here, we'll do the into here as well. And another. Fancy. So now I can do S5, lots of instructions. Yeah, and then we get the same error we had earlier. But cool, so I think this feature is at least the step X instructions is done, which is nice, and it was actually fairly easy to implement. As soon as we had an OM parser, very easy to extend. So that seems to be a good move. Yeah. Good. And push that. And yeah, I think that'll be it for me today. Nice quick little stream. Oh, need to tag. So I always end with questions. If you guys want to do that, hit me up. Here you get to watch me look up how to do git tags again. But I'm pretty sure it's just git tag end of episode 011. If we do git tag regularly, it should list, and we do git push -- tags, and I think that's all we do. Right? I'll double check. Oh, that zoom. Good. Cool. No questions so far. Cool. Yeah, Colin, if you use iTerm 2 or maybe it was Z Shell, we'll have a history if you write git tab and you can just cycle back. Oh, that's pretty nice. Has a yeah, like command specific history. That's cool. And actually, that's one of those features that I just never occurred to me. And as soon as you say it, it's like, oh, of course that's a good idea. Use that for my tagging. I'll check that out. That's pretty cool. Flogeneer says, could you maybe go over the stuff about my PR that I missed in the beginning? If I remember what exactly it was. It was basically just that I don't know if you read the comments because it was pretty summed up by that. That I thought actually using wrapping add was actually the solution here. I had a to-do to handle the overflow exception, and then the overflow exception that I was referring to is actually generating an exception within the CPU that we're emulating, not to fix the fact that instruction can raise an exception because on the host PC. And I think the reason why you were hitting the exceptions and I wasn't was because I was testing this with release instead of debug. And so it just never happened on my machine because a lot of those overflow checks are gone in release builds in Rust. I think that was about the gist of it, but I kind of felt like the wrapping add would be the better solution here. I didn't actually go through the correctness of the code you wrote to check to see if your bitwise implementation broke the what was it? If the bitwise implementation broke the 64-bit mode, because I just thought that again wrapping add would be sort of the better way to do this, and it'll be kind of easy for us to just check if the exception will happen just by looking at the last 2 bits. So I just kind of felt like implementing like this felt like overkill to me. Felt like we shouldn't actually have that in the code because it would make it harder to understand. Whereas wrapping add fixes the problem of exceptions on the host CPU because we know that could be there. And then we don't actually have a mechanism for properly generating the exceptions yet. And so I thought that, again, doing an actual bitwise add was just a bit strange to me. Flogeneer says it handled overflow on the host machine and an emulator. Yeah, I know I handled both, but again, I thought that this looked really heavy for the solution. I don't think this is the correct way to do this. If you want to discuss it further, we can continue discussing it in the comments. But I'm going to head out and enjoy the sun. So, yeah. Anyway, I do appreciate the PR and the issue. I just don't think that this was the right solution in this case. Six, you praise the sun. Pastor Amon, Tusen Tak. Varsuguld. Should stream. I'll look into it more then. Move away, Devil's Air picked a great time to join. Yeah. Yeah, thanks guys for joining. And I'll have this uploaded ASAP. And I'll see you again next time.